We're coming up on 5 years at the end of March. I wouldn't say that's the first time I'd ever planned my suicide, but I would say that was the first time I had full intention to act upon it.
Hey there, my name is Sean, and this is Suicide Noted. On this podcast, I talk with suicide attempt survivors and ideators so that we can hear their stories. Every year around the world, millions and millions of people try to take their own lives, and we almost never talk about it. We certainly don't talk about it enough, and when we do talk about it, when we do engage with people in all kinds of pain, most of us are really bad at it. So one of my goals with this podcast is to have more conversations and hopefully better conversations with survivors, in large part to help more people in more places hopefully feel a little less shitty and a little less alone. Now, if you are an attempt survivor or ideator and you'd like to talk, I'd love to talk with you. Please reach out. hello@suicidenoted.com. You can learn more about this podcast on our ever-changing website, suicidenoted.com. Still always looking for volunteers. And of course, tax-deductible donations, givebutter.com/suicidenoted. We could really use the help. If you listen on Spotify, remember we've got that weekly poll. If you listen on Apple, we would love a 5-star rating. It helps people find us. Only, of course, if you think we deserve that. Otherwise, maybe don't leave a rating at all. Thanks. Finally, we are talking about suicide on this podcast. My guests and I do not hold back. Please take that into account before you listen or as you listen, but I do hope you listen because there is so much to learn. Today, I am talking with Jason. Jason lives in Georgia, and he is a suicide attempt survivor. How you doing, man?
Doing good, man. How about you?
I thought you were going to be some young punk.
Well, no, just an old punk.
Where do you live?
Georgia, just north of Atlanta in Dahlonega.
Middle-aged dudes. Let's just say what it is.
That's right, man. It's where you at in the world?
I'm in Mexico right now.
Oh, okay.
I'm from New York. I lived in North Carolina for a while. Set myself up in Mexico for a little bit, see where it goes. But I got good Wi-Fi, and so that's all I need.
Nice, man. That's cool. I just got back from New York City. Me and my partner went up there and we spent a few days tooling around Central Park in the snow and seeing the city center and Rockefeller Plaza and all that stuff. Went and saw the Nutcracker there at the Lincoln Center. It's a lot of fun.
All right, it's a good time to go.
It is, man. It's beautiful. Man, wasn't near as busy as I thought it was going to be, but
no.
Busy enough.
Now, I should let the audience know, most listeners, they hear the podcast, they reach out to me, but now you're a little different. It's interesting because you wrote me, but you had some coaching.
Yep.
And I knew that, which doesn't bother me because I think that's a smart thing to do if you want to expand your business and your reach and your impact.
Mm-hmm.
But I appreciated it because I called you on it. I tried to be nice about it.
You were.
But I find it hard for me. The ecosystem, the culture we're in, and the language that's used there, for some reason, just charges the shit out of me, activates the shit out of me. And I'm like, and is that, do you think I'm nuts?
Nah, man, that shit drives me nuts. I mean, I hired that company and it wasn't necessarily a bad move necessarily, but I mean, the money that I spent there has been, it's been a good bit of cheese come out of there. And so, I mean, I have one more month left with them and I'm allowing them to do the pitches. But here's the thing about my name being attached to those pitches is the bullshit that's kind of, the whole, even my dog says no. And I mean, I get it. I really do get it. And they're using AI to generate all that stuff. And I mean, I approve everything that goes through. But, like what you said is like, dude, don't fucking bullshit me. Shoot me something back when you've actually listened to my podcast. And I was like, yeah, I appreciate that. Cause
like even like 10 minutes, just be real about it. And I understand, but I do understand. I have my own stuff of trying to monetize this. That is nothing real. I'm trying to do some licensing work, getting institutional licensing. So it doesn't change the integrity of the work. There's an independent podcast. I make no money from ads, from sponsors. I'm super, super deliberate. My guests wouldn't like, and honestly, my guests have given me shit when I've had someone on who's a bullshitter.
Yeah,
And
sure.
so thank you for,
Yeah, man.
thank you for not telling me to fuck off on my email.
Yeah, man. No big deal. And I mean, man, I've been I was a pastor for 13 years and
Uh-huh.
I lost my job because of having an affair, and it was one of many affairs. I mean, I was adopted at birth, and I could tell you my whole story, but I'm not on a speaking circuit, and I am writing a book, but it's nowhere near release yet because I've been working on that motherfucker for 3 years. But I do coach people, but I do spiritual coaching,
Right.
and I work with folks who are addicted, but really addiction as a spiritual problem. So, Sacred Grit was birthed out of a desire to help people. I run a nonprofit called Adventures in Recovery, and everything at Adventures in Recovery is free. And I learned really quick that free means there's no investment, and when there's no investment, you get treated
No.
like a doormat. So
I know.
Sacred
Yep.
Grit monetized that coaching piece, and that's where all this comes from.
Yep. What's the name of the nonprofit?
Adventures in Recovery.
Got it. All right.
Yeah,
So people can know, and I don't do a ton of putting links and stuff, but I want people to clearly hear it. If they want to check it out.
yeah,
Adventure in Recovery and your podcast, which has been around for a while.
yeah.
It's not the 2 episodes and I quit. You've been going at it for a while, called Sacred Grit.
Yep.
So, if after this conversation with me and Jason in Georgia, my guests want to check it out, they can. So I sent you the questions. We don't have a ton of time together, so let's just get to it. I want to thank you for joining me.
Mhm.
I appreciate it. If people want a visual, Jason, like me, doesn't have a lot of hair. He's got a nice, so when I grow my beard out and mustache out, it's not as smooth as yours, but it ain't so salt and pepper these days. It's pretty much salt.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
I do.
He's also got a better microphone than me, which pisses me off, but I got to upgrade. But hey, look, we're two pros doing what we do. You found, let's just be like completely transparent about it. You found the podcast in part because you were just trying to get on podcasts.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just growing the message, man. I found nervous system regulation work to be the key to really help me get beyond my suicidal ideation as far as the hardest parts of it. And
Mm.
really found this in the midst of planning my own suicide. And so the podcast kind of birthed out of all of that. And so the message that I have is a very clear message, and it's a message about being aware of our decisions moment to moment, our choices.
Mhm.
And that message it's literally saved my life. And
Mhm.
so I've been trying to expand that brand, which is Sacred Grit. And one of the ways I did that was starting to pitch different podcasts and using different ways to grow my message. And yeah, you came through.
Yeah.
We
I got
started.
on the list, man. Somehow I got on the list.
You made
Um,
it on the list.
and I hope you do get some appearances so that people can hear it and help you with this work that you're doing because it sounds cool. But I want to know how old are you?
55, 54. I'll be 55 in June. I always add 1 year to myself for some reason.
Oh,
My
that's
part.
funny. I think they do that in South Korea, for real. Because I think in South Korea, they think their first year is when you're in the womb. Looks like
Yeah, my partner will say all the time, I'm 55. She's like, "Jason, you're 54." Like, "Oh, okay, I got you."
you've been on Earth for more than 5 decades. Let me ask you a few questions, or more than a
Yeah,
few.
yeah, yeah.
I don't hold back, so here we go.
Lay it on me.
And I know the life story could take 10 hours, but we don't have that. So this is just the art of interviewing and on your end also sort of semi-summarizing, but it's a challenge. We'll get to it. You have not tried to end your life, but you were planning to do it.
Mhm.
When was that?
That was, let's see, March 31st of 2021.
Oh, you know the exact day.
I do.
So that would be, if my math is correct, nearing 5 years.
Yep. We're coming up on 5 years at the end of March, and I wouldn't say that's the first time I'd ever, planned my suicide, but I would say that was the first time I had full intention to act upon it.
Mm.
There was a resolve there, and it wasn't emotional. It wasn't, I wasn't angry. I really at the time just felt like a dog that keeps biting people that needed to be put down.
Mhm.
That's the way I felt. And as a kind of a last ditch effort, I reached out to a guy I had met when I was working in wilderness therapy that had actually talked a little bit about nervous system regulation and pre-verbal trauma adoption and all that stuff. And he's the
Mhm.
guy who kind of led me in the direction that I ended up now.
All right, let me go back a little bit. Wasn't the first time you thought about it. I'll use the word ideate.
Yeah.
Do you remember, how old are you when you first started thinking, "I don't wanna be here," in any
Oh,
form?
man. I mean, I was probably 14, 15 years old. I mean,
Alright, so this isn't like something that you had a trauma at 44.
no.
How do you summarize your, let's say, childhood, teenage years, just so the audience has some context in terms of how you grew up?
Just a lot of shame, man. I grew up in a fundamental Southern Baptist church, and, spirituality was always a huge part of who I was. I read the Bible through for the first time when I was 8. I just always loved the idea of this, Father God, and, but about the time I hit puberty, I also, realized now I had a adoption wound. I mean, a separation anxiety. And I mean, pornography, girls, masturbation, all that stuff became overwhelmingly attractive to me, and which just caused a shit ton of shame. And,
Is that
I
right?
mean,
Well, hang on one sec. Why? Why do you think that is? Because that word gets used a lot, and I'm sure people mean slightly different
yeah, yeah,
things.
yeah.
So for you, what does that mean?
Yeah, for me, shame meant that I was doing something to God. So I was pissing God off at me because I was having these sexual desires.
Alright.
And that made me hide those sexual desires because I thought they pissed God off. And I mean, we're talking about a 12, 13-year-old boy's perspective of thinking, well, I can't hide this from God. But I can hide it from my parents. I can hide it from my preacher. I can put on the good boy face. And to me, shame, yeah, I'm with you. The shame culture thing is, it's great. It's some of it, but I also did development work in Africa for 10 years. And so shame sometimes is not a bad thing. I mean, shame sometimes has a good component to it. But the kind of shame I'm talking about is when your insides can't match your outsides because you don't feel like you're free to talk about what's going on inside. And so I live with this heavy burden of just a strong sexual desire, and that, God was gonna somehow send me to hell for having that desire, and
Uh-huh.
so that really, and, those sexual urges were so strong to me
Yeah.
that, I mean, I couldn't stop, but that caused this, feeling of, "I'm gonna go to hell." The Bible says,
Right.
all sexual sin is a sin against your body, which is a sin against God. I'm like, "Shit, I don't know what I'm gonna
Yeah,
do."
I mean, look, like, if jerking off, whether young or older, if I found out, for example, that if somebody sees me or finds out that I jerked off, I'm gonna get beat,
Yeah,
that's a problem. If I know that if I'm jerking off, I'm going to hell,
yeah,
yeah, I could see that creating some internal conflict,
yeah, yeah,
and that just speaks to the urge
yeah,
because 'cause you're
that's
still
right.
doing it.
That's right. That's right, and carried on.
So the point is that if you're still having these sexual desires and acting on them, knowing, I assume at that point, or
Mm,
strongly believing you're going to hell,
mhm.
to me, similarly, it feels sort of similar in that it's like when someone chooses to end their life or try, that just signals to me the pain they're in.
Yeah, 100%.
Not all the things that tend to get connected to it,
Mhm,
which is how selfish they might be or how cowardly they might be.
mhm.
You might use those terminologies. I would choose not to. I don't think they tend to be accurate. It's pain in a way that you're probably unable to imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I think when someone makes, I hate that, people say it's the most selfish act you could ever. I don't know that a person ends their life going, "I'm being such a narcissist right now." I
Right.
I think that what happens when someone ends their life is they have come to a place where they can no longer live in their physical skin, and so they're getting rid of their physical skin, and they're choosing to believe that whatever comes next is better than what they're living in right now.
Exactly.
And when
Yeah.
you come to believe that, I mean, there's no reason to be here anymore.
But there's no reason to stop you.
That's it, yeah, there's nothing stopping you, and from where I was in 2021 is my kids had found out about my behaviors, I had lost my job over my behaviors. I mean, I had all of this shit piled on top of me, and I mean, in my mind, it was a very, very logical thing.
When you're a teenager, and I know the teenage brain is not the same as a 50-plus-year-old brain, but what stops you? Because it sounds like at 14 or whatever the age was, you start thinking about this stuff, and I'm imagining, but correct me if I'm wrong, this doesn't just magically go away as you get into your 20s and 30s and 40s. So how often 2 questions. How often over those years are you thinking about ending your life, and what stops you from trying?
Yeah, it kinda I would say that the only way I know to describe it is it hummed as an undertone of my
Mhm.
consciousness all the time. So I would say it would come up, a couple times a year. But I tell you what stopped it, I got married at age 19. That's what stopped it because it was like, okay, well, at least now I have the covenant of marriage has now covered my sexual desire. And so now I'm okay. I'm legal per se. I've got my license. But I mean, that only lasted for so long until, kids come along and, marital strife gets hard and you're having these arguments and there is no sex. And then all of a sudden you find yourself right back in the same boat. Now,
Mhm.
when that started to happen, my brain had, I had developed far enough theologically to go, yeah, this thing killing you over sex is bullshit. But, there's something there. But the suicidal ideation then would come more along the lines from the guilt of living one life as a pastor and having another life as this dude who just chased women. The dichotomy was still there, but it was now it was more about the shame of who I was as opposed to who I was presenting myself to be instead of this, punitive God. So it kind of shifted rather than being, spiritual, it shifted to being a little bit more sociological, I would say.
How many years were you a pastor?
13. I was 33 when I became a pastor. Before that, I owned a plumbing company. So I raised my kids and everything, or one of them. She pretty much remembers me going into the ministry. My son was, I want to say he was 5 when I went in, but by
Married with kids, plumbing at 33 to 40 something,
mhm,
you're a pastor, and that is it both during that all of that time and when this, let's use the word indiscretions, if you will, or is it more
sure.
in 30s and 40s?
I mean, it really hit hard. So when I was, I mean, I always had sexual desire. But for the most part, I could keep that reined in. When I was 34 or 35, 2006, that would have made me 35. I found out, I went to find my biological mother. I went ahead and decided I was going to give that a shot. And when I tried to find her, I found out that she had died just a couple of years before with Huntington's disease. Not sure if you know what that is, but it's not the
It's
most amazing
hereditary, I know that.
yeah, very much 50-50 chance I get it. And then went to find my biological father. He was dead, alcoholic, cirrhosis of the liver. Also found out she was 15 when he got her pregnant. He was 26. So he was also a child molester. So it was just a lot to hang on to in the midst of an already tumultuous brain of ministry and God and all these different things. And it wasn't long after that, I think it was like 2007, I started having affairs and it had a bunch of them over the course of the years. Now, looking back on those things, I wouldn't say that I'm certainly not blaming finding out my biological mother died for me having affairs. That'd just be a horseshit cop out. But I will say that something inside my level of consciousness shifted to rev up that motor of needing connection. And in 2017, Affair finally came out all the way. And that's when I lost my job as a pastor. That wasn't enough. I found another job and had another affair. And at that job, as a fire defense contractor, and lost another job and had another affair. And that is in 2021 when I told you I was laying on my left side staring at the wall, ready to commit suicide.
What's the, connection between the affairs and losing the jobs, or is that just life falling apart?
Yeah, man, just life falling apart. I mean, it's I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. I went into business for myself when I was 19,
Mhm.
planted my own church when I started the church and grew everything, just like I've grown Sacred Grit and Adventures in Recovery. But everything was always teetering on the pinhead of adultery or some kind of sexual misconduct. Here's the thing, man. People who've dealt with any kind of addiction know these words I'm about to say really well. And sex is a little different than heroin. I could walk away from heroin or separate myself from the drug heroin. I can't separate myself from my dick. I mean, it's always there. So, well, and listen, for any dude who's listening that's ever been through sex addiction, I did consider castration. I'm like, well, maybe
Yeah,
that would be the answer. Just get
right.
rid of this shit. But there's a drive inside that would pull me toward that connection, which
Mhm.
for me was sexual promiscuity. Now, I was married and doing all manner of damage to my marriage. But here's the thing: I got married at 19. She was 16 when I got married. Her mama had to sign her over to me for us to get married, and so we didn't really have a strong start as a marriage.
Mhm.
That, but I made it work. I dug in, we raised two. My kids are amazing, man. They would tell you right now, I was a great daddy, not the greatest husband. And I've only been divorced 2 years. So, I mean, we tried and tried and tried and tried to make this work. But
Mhm.
that is all the byproduct of this undercurrent that was always rumbling in my heart, and that was connection. Suicide comes about when, if you just can't ever seem to reach a place to where you feel okay, you eventually decide the only way you'll ever feel okay is to get rid of the thing that's not making you feel okay, and in this case, that was my physical body. Yeah.
For sure, for sure, sure. What I want to get back to that. I want to talk actually more in depth about that March 31st. You know, one of the sort of, I don't know what you want to call it, taglines, if you will, of this podcast is to help people hopefully feel a little less shitty and a little less alone. And I think one of the mistakes that we do in the world of suicide, I don't know if that's a thing, the world of suicide, is we gloss over it. And we get
Yeah.
afraid to use the language. And I'll tell you right now, there's people out there that need to hear some of this stuff more slowed down in detail because they're going through it, and that actually helps them because they're
Sure.
not
Yeah.
alone. It doesn't give them permission or encouragement. That's a load of horseshit. I do want to ask one question because I think it may be, well, it's all relevant, but what leads you from being owning a plumbing company to getting into the ministry in your 30s?
Oh man, that's a great question. So I had always been involved in the church, and I don't really know. And it's really interesting too that when I found my biological parents, this is so interesting. The lineage of my biological mother was PhDs and pastors, and the lineage of my biological father was construction workers and alcoholics. So I mean, it's like I got these two things boiled down into one body. So it was really interesting because I
Yeah.
knew none of that until I was 35 years old. None of
Wow.
it. Had
Wow.
no idea. So my decision to go into the ministry, I mean, I'd always been, as I said, very interested in spiritual things, very interested in church. And I mean, I was leading a youth group, and I'm at a youth gathering in North Carolina, in a church on a Sunday morning, watching the youth, lead some songs or whatever it was they were doing. And I just remember sitting there thinking, this is what I'm going to do in my life. God is
Mm.
calling me into ministry. And I didn't even quit. I didn't graduate high school. I quit high school. So I had to go home, get my GED so that I could start my undergraduate in theology. And I did my undergraduate in theology. I did my master's degree in international community development, and over the
Okay.
course of those years to further the church's mission. But yeah, so that's how I ended up. And I have always had a heart to help people.
Yeah.
I mean, I struggle. You're sitting there saying people need help. I'm like, man, just call, just email. And, yeah, I charge for coaching, but not if you can't afford it. You just call. There's always help to be had. And that's a hard call to make.
Yep.
But at the same time, dude, to feel alone, and I don't know if you identify with this, most people who have either ideated before or have tried to commit suicide, you feel alone in a room full of people.
We can debate the debate over word choice here, and no, they're not the same. Loneliness, aloneness. You do that, and this is a big thing with a lot of people. But middle-aged men, bro, middle-aged men right now. I've talked to enough of them, and I imagine you have too with your coaching work. I don't know for the words epidemic. That might be incorrect.
No, it's
A whole
close.
lot of them. Maybe they had a marriage that didn't work out, whatever with their job, their kids are grown up, maybe they didn't have kids, they're hitting the bottle, maybe, and there's other shit going on too, and they got access to firearms and all this, and this isn't a suicide prevention podcast. I'm not here to tell people what to do with their lives,
Sure.
but you can see all of those ingredients adding up. You got a fucking problem.
Yep.
And even before they die, my thing is how miserable they feel.
Yep.
And you know this. I mean, I don't know. Our work might overlap some in some ways. I'm not a coach, but I have some really intense conversations where people open up. And I try to also in my work and in terms of just as the, for lack of a better word, facilitator. And you can feel the pain, man.
Yeah, I mean, suicide is it's an echo chamber in your head, and
Yeah.
so you keep telling yourself the same story over and over and over, and that loop is in isolation.
Yeah.
And so many people, I think, that finally do commit suicide is it's a a break in the loop. It's like, fuck it, I can't take this anymore. And they may have talked to people before. And then people, I remember talking to people and, I feel this way and like, oh, well,
Yeah, yeah.
suicide is the most. So I had therapists tell me, well,
Yeah,
suicide.
of course.
I mean, I hear you, brother, but me being selfish by putting a bullet through my head, if that's what I decide to do, is nothing compared to the fucking havoc I'm wreaking on my family by not being able to keep my dick in my pants. So you can tell me that I'm selfish, but I can tell you that this feels more selfish. And yes,
Oh,
my kids may have a traumatic experience because I end my life, but it ain't shit compared to what I keep doing to them over and over and over. So
and
that
that's
they
right.
couldn't make the
That's the
logic.
dot. That's the loop. That's the
Yeah.
loop, and you do that for a long time, and the consequences are almost predictable. And I'll
Mhm.
also tell you that I think most people, and this isn't always the case, some people keep it in forever. Most people do talk. And guess what happens at some point? And I know you know this, they stop talking. And they stop
Yep.
talking for a reason. It's because people in their lives, including their therapist sometimes, say the shit that your therapist said.
Yep.
And if you're a logical, rational human being and you keep hearing that when you're reaching out for help, you are a smart person to stop talking.
Yep.
But you still
Because
need to talk. So where do you go? And then the choices become limited, and then you stop. And
Mhm.
then we add one more layer of danger to all of this.
I think the key comes, Sean, though, is you have to take action, and you have to take action in the opposite direction, to be honest with you, man. Because here's the thing that I found is that the talking would help me, but as you said so eloquently a minute ago, people eventually start giving you the yada, yada, yada thing, right? It's like you, Jason, you've been saying the same shit for however many years. But I do feel like that to come to a place to where the echo chamber can stop is when I go, okay, I'm lonely. I need to go for a walk. I'm
Yep.
lonely. I need to go exercise. I'm
Yes.
lonely. I need to go to a meeting. I'm lonely. A church, if that's your thing. But I think that it's further than feeling like you're not alone through talking, feeling like you're not alone through doing is the
Yeah.
big thing. To be
Yeah.
able to,
Yeah.
you have a hobby, you have people you enjoy being around, and that can start to shift your thinking patterns. But I mean, dude, it's like climbing Mount Everest sometimes
It
if you're far
is.
enough in that fucking pit. But it doesn't change the fact that suicide is a choice, and the opposite of suicide is also a choice to continue to live and to give yourself reasons to live. But I mean, I make that sound like, it's walking down the street simple. It's not, it's extremely
It's
difficult.
not. And you also, not to play devil's advocate here too much, but some people are in chronic pain and going for a walk's not a
Oh, yeah, 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 for sure.
I mean, and there's a lot of them, and we don't actually talk about chronic pain that often. And so some of the options go. I mean, are there things most people can do even a little bit? Sure. Sure, sure, sure. But, it sounds like you kind of get it, and you made it very clear that it ain't a walk in the park, even if it's a
Yeah.
walk in the park.
Yeah,
How
that's a
did
good one.
did the work in the ministry, and I know you said you got a master's in international,
Community development, yes, sir.
is that what led you to Africa?
Yeah, yeah, that was the work in Uganda.
You
Mhm,
went to Uganda.
mhm.
When was that?
I worked in Uganda from 2010, and we wrapped up the final project in January of 2023.
So your near attempt was during that time.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah,
You're going
yeah.
back and forth, or you staying there for 13 years?
No, I went back and forth. I would go over there and spend time and collect data and then come back here. Sometimes I would spend as much as 6 to 8 weeks over there, but I was more, doing development work. So it started out like Christian missionary stuff, and I
Mhm,
realized real quick that was a shit show, so I changed
mhm.
over to I did my master's degree in international community development through Oxford in partnership with Northwest University. And that was specifically to design systems of sustainable economic growth. So we would work on economic paradigms in communities over
Wow,
there.
the Georgia kid who didn't come from graduate from high school? Come on now.
Yeah, yeah,
Hello, let's go. Did you get, this is a slight digression, but,
yeah.
the white knight syndrome, did you get any pushback here or there from people?
No, because I was kinda anti the white knight and, white savior stuff. My first experience over there was actually in 2009, and I walked away from that experience knowing I'm supposed to do something over here, but it sure as hell ain't that, which was
Got
giving
it.
away money and people cheering and
Mhm,
all kind of,
mhm,
I
mhm.
worked on much more of a logical level of tell me what you need as a Ugandan and let me try to help you get you connected to the resources to where you can grow what you need and not me over here telling you what you need. And that was a long, slow walk in a very difficult direction. But yeah, the suicidal ideation was even in the midst of all that for
In the
sure.
midst of all that, right? Because you
Yeah.
said it was a low hum throughout most of your life.
Yep.
It would peak, a handful of times a year. So I'm curious. So in whatever it was, maybe 2020, early 2021, I assume it starts to either gain steam, gain momentum, or perhaps tell me, is it just one thing on the 31st of March that just sets you over the edge?
Yeah, so I had another affair, and we were kind of making plans, and she decided to not follow through with those plans, and it all came out. And I could tell you that there was a sense of hope there that maybe I had found a way to somehow satiate that desire inside of me.
Where were you on the 31st?
I was at home, laying in my
The,
bed, facing
the
the
home, the
wall.
home you're in right now?
No, I was still married at the time, so it was in the whole in our marital home, a little
Laying in
south.
your bed in nobody's home?
My wife was there. Yeah.
What were you doing? What was it? Evening, morning?
It was midday. I had just got off the phone with my son. He had just found out and had called me, and we had had a conversation. He had told me he didn't want to talk to me, and he had contacted my daughter, who sent me a text, and just kind of hurt. And kids say things they don't mean when they're hurt like that. I get it. So I had went back and laid on the bed, laid on my left side facing the wall, and my wife was there with me, and she was talking to me, but I just really wasn't listening. And I mean, now I know my nervous system was just shut down. I mean, I was in freeze. I didn't know what to do except stare at the fucking wall. And I sit there and decided how I was going to do it. I mean, had it completely laid out. And actually, when I decided, I fell asleep, and
Mm.
I took a nap for about 2 hours. And when I woke up from the nap, I remember thinking, okay, before I do this, I'm going to call Rob Gent. And Rob was a guy I had met when I was working in wilderness therapy for a short period of time.
Mhm.
And Rob had talked to me about pre-verbal trauma, and because we worked with a lot of kids in wilderness therapy that were adopted, and they would just come completely off the fucking wire, man. I mean, just run away in the middle of the woods and all kind of crazy shit. But
Mhm.
so that was my attempt, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to send him an email. And Rob was the chief clinical officer of a national behavioral health company, and I really didn't expect to hear back from him because he was. I mean, this behavioral health company has hundreds of locations, and within 30 minutes, he emailed me back. He's like, "Yeah, I remember who you are. I remember when I met you, and we scheduled a Zoom call." And yeah, that was what I just started clinging to what he gave me, which was nervous system regulation and attaching rational thought to my body, and that turned into
Ah,
what is now sacred grit.
I see, I see. Tell me this, and, you might have some strong feelings about certain language, but I do not hold back, and there is a reason, but I want to know if you're comfortable sharing. How were you going to kill yourself?
Oh, yeah, I was gonna take a blue tarp and my pistol, and I was going to go up to no, I'm sorry, the funeral home, the local funeral home, sit on the front porch and shoot myself under the tarp, and that way, my body would already be delivered where it needed to be, and the mess would be minimal.
How close do you think that came to happening?
I mean, if 10 is doing it and 1 is perfectly regulated, I was at a 8.5.
So we could not be having this conversation right now.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, if it wouldn't have been, listen, that's been coming up on 5 years ago, and this is the longest stint I have been able to pull together of having emotional regulation. I mean,
Yeah.
it's been amazing, but I could tell you that there is a very good chance, that's an 85% chance that I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you right now.
And once you started having the conversations with the guy on Zoom and which eventually turned into your work,
Yeah.
right? Nervous system regulation, sacred grit, and the coaching. How often, if ever, in that time since then, do you ideate?
Dude, I have had maybe when I went through my divorce, which once again, I'm pretty sure that was an adopted kid thing.
Mhm,
I would have flashes of it,
mhm,
but I mean, they were moments of like, you could just get the fuck on out of here. But
mhm,
they would, like, what are you doing?
mhm.
There were flashes. I would say I never got up on the scale. But there were once or twice in there because, we had to tell the kids again and we're separating and the kids are like, after all this you've been through. And so there was some of that going on. But I will say this, those flashes of ideation, which may have been, let's just say in the past 2 years, there's been, I don't know, we'll say half a dozen. If the needle 0 to 10, right? 0 being fine and 10, I did it. Instead of going up to like 8.5 where I was back then and just that needle holding there, I would have flashes of a 3 and then right back down.
Sounds like you've learned some for lack of a better word, you've got some tools in your tool belt now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great word to use, tools.
Well, I mean, that's what you help people with, I imagine.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do.
Yeah, figuring this shit out because we don't really learn it usually. We learn math, we learn language, we learn history formally in most, right? We don't learn this shit.
Just use church as an example. We learn all of this prefrontal cortex theology, right? All the shouldn'ts. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do this. But then your body has feelings and emotions in it. And, I'll have so many guys they'll tell me, I know what I should do, but I just can't do it. Like, yeah, that's because your brain and your body are disconnected. When the brain and the body are disconnected, one will take over. And if one takes over too far, we end up with ourselves being in a pretty tough position.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think we do kind of, and even in public schools or nursery schools, I think we kind of do learn this. And then, 'cause, like when a lot of like what a kindergarten teacher does, yes, there's ABCs and all that shit. It's emotional regulation.
It is.
But then we stop.
Yes.
That's not what school's for anymore.
Right.
But it's all the other thing. Mostly, I'm sure there are some exceptions. Probably super wealthy people get to go to and send their kids to that have all sorts of holistic, but mostly sit your ass down. You know the subjects. I don't need to list them, but we don't spend much time doing this shit. And here we are. So we got people hopefully that can help out in other ways. Some of them are therapists, but some of them aren't.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's emotional intelligence, right? Like we try to teach young children emotional intelligence because we don't want them to shit themselves. We don't want them screaming and pitching a fit because they want a bowl of Cheerios.
Yep.
But we stop teaching emotional intelligence once we start to get social regulation. So if a kid gets himself into a place to where they no longer running around the restaurant when you're trying to eat dinner, they're becoming a human being instead of a savage. We go, okay, well, they're emotionally regulated. But what we stop teaching them how to do is, hey, one of these days you're going to have an erection. One of these days you're going to want to have sex. One of these days you're going to run up on porn. One of these days you're going to drink alcohol. One of these days, and we stop teaching them how to have emotional intelligence around the bigger issues, and we just expect them to figure it out. Hell, my parents didn't even talk to me about sex. There's a bigger issue than just being able to wipe your own ass when it comes to human development. But we seem to get kids past wiping their ass and feeding themselves like, oh, you're good, but they're not.
Yeah. And now, for better or worse, in the last number of years, there are resources out there, but I don't know if those are the right resources for everybody. Like they can go online and find shit, but is that what, who knows?
Sure. Yeah. No, I mean, so and every person I think comes at this from a different angle. It's just like recovery. Some people go to AA or NA or SA and they can go through the 12 steps, but like, fuck yeah, I got it. And there's other people that have been in recovery for 35 years and they're still relapsing every 6 months.
Sure.
Yeah. So it's like trying to find this balance, trying to find what works for you. If somebody ideates a lot and they can't seem to get themselves around it, what's that idea? If you keep doing what you always do, you keep getting what you always got. You got to try different things. And I think that's the doing part that you and I talked about a minute ago. It's like you got to figure out what works for you and then move in that direction if it feels better. And then sometimes even that'll have branches of it. You start doing the same thing, like, I don't feel like 100%. So you might change and try something else for a little while, but we can't get away that the human predicament, which is being alive most of the time, which is not that easy to do. The human predicament is changed by choice. We don't change by circumstances. We change by our choice, how we react to those circumstances. And so I think when people start to learn how to choose in a direction to where, oh, I feel better, even at the cost of relationships. I mean, my divorce ultimately happened because I could not stay in that relationship and be a good man. And for me to be a good man meant that I would not ideate, that I would not have these behaviors that I can't control. So I got divorced. Well,
Yep.
for me, that was a self-love piece. I had to move, and it's not her fault, not my fault. I mean, it's just it is what it is, and so sometimes finding help for yourself means you just have to make hard decisions, but the decisions are still ours to make. The way the
Yeah.
human condition changes is through our choices. That is what is painting our future, and, some I deal with guys who are on heroin, and I'll say, "That is a choice." They'll say, "Well, it doesn't feel like a choice." I'm like, "Well, just because it doesn't feel like it doesn't make it any less of a choice. It just means you have to figure out how to make the choice. That's the hard work."
You made the choice to get divorced. You have found a new partner. You still have a penis, I assume?
Yep.
Are you keeping your penis in your pants with the
Yep.
exception of your partner?
Yep.
Only bring that up because it's relevant and you brought it up. Are
100%.
you a drinker or drugger?
No, I don't drink or use drugs.
And no judgments, just curious because we all
Yeah,
have coping mechanisms
for sure.
and which life is hard. And that's one of my mantras. It just is.
Yep.
In addition to the original reason you reached out, which we got past, why do you want people to hear this conversation?
Because there is hope. And for men that I have worked with, and I work primarily with men, and that could be men who have lost sons to untimely death. That could be men who are dealing with anxious attachment. That could be men who are dealing with drug addiction, and that could be men dealing with sex addiction. And they have tried everything that they can try, and they still cannot seem to get control. This seems to work. And I have seen men in all manner of situations start doing nervous system regulation and find control. So the reason why the message matters to me is because there is hope for people who are willing to try.
You're pretty open and public about this, it seems like. I don't know if that was always the case. How many people know we're having this conversation right now?
Just me and you.
Is that because it's private or just because it just worked out that way?
Yeah, just because it worked out that way. Yeah, no, anybody. My book is just as candid as this, and when folks listen to my podcast, I talk about all these things.
Does it feel weird that you almost killed yourself?
Nah,
Are you glad you didn't kill yourself?
I am very glad I didn't kill myself. I have a beautiful grandson and another grandson on the way, and
There you
I
go.
have an amazing partner, man. She is unbelievable. She's everything that I have ever wanted in a human being. A lot of people, in the spiritual realms, they get in this question about why are we here? We're here for two reasons. And this is according to just about every single person that has ever led a spiritual revolution. We're here to be alive, and we're here to love. Being alive is tough,
Well, being alive / procreate in order to create life.
Sure. Yeah. That's part of being alive. Yeah. To be alive and to be in love. And Jesus talked about those two things in the Bible. He said, "Consider the lily, consider the bird. They don't toil, they don't spin, they don't search. They are just lillian and burden." So they're just simply being alive. And then when they asked him, "What is the greatest commandment?" He said, "Love God, love people, love yourself."
What
And
if you don't? What if a guy like me doesn't believe in God?
I think you can still take the principles, because the principles, no matter how you look at it, if you begin with loving yourself. So what that means is if I wake up every single morning and I do something that makes me feel loved by myself, and I'm not looking for somebody else to make me feel whole, I'm not looking for another thing to come into me and make me whole. That for some people it might be, I've got one of my clients, he loves to paint. So he gets up every morning and he paints, and it makes him feel loved. I have another client, he loves to ride a bike. He gets up every morning and goes for a 30-minute bicycle ride. But they start their day with doing something that makes them feel loved by themselves. And I think even for somebody who doesn't believe in God, which is perfectly fine, I sure don't believe in the God that I got taught as a kid. I think that if we could believe that if I love myself unconditionally, that means what I need in the moment. If that means I need to take a minute, I take a minute. If that means I need to take a walk, I take a walk. That means, and this all the way down through to things that don't feel good. If I love myself by making good food choices, I love myself by making good lifestyle choices, I love myself. All of those things will add up to us having a robust life that we can in turn give away to other people. We have something to give
Yeah,
to.
man. Yeah, man. And you know what, though? And I'm going to push back a little bit because I'm
Yeah.
sure you're used to it. And you wouldn't be a good coach if you weren't used to push back. Because if all you're getting are people that yes you to death, you ain't doing a good job, probably.
That's right.
A lot of people just don't fucking love themselves, period.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, and so you can go on your bike ride and you can read your book And those are, but I get it. But it adds up little by little, and maybe 6 months later or 5, whatever. It's like, oh, I feel like I'm in a different space. But I'll go back to this because it's hard, and you might peer a little self pity here, and that's just fine. It's hard to do alone.
Oh, dude, it's next to impossible to do alone. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that regardless of, you're right. Some people do not love themselves. And I think that is where a really good therapist comes in, or somebody to help us, especially. I don't know if you've heard of parts work. I've found a lot of healing in parts work. It's called Inner Family Systems. Richard Schwartz. Yep. So if you can find somebody to help you find the pinprick of light inside of your own soul that you can look at and go, man, I really love that about me. Even if it's something like, I love my hands, right? So maybe I get up in the morning, put lotion on them. I don't know what the thing may be, but if we could find it just needs to be a tiny pinprick of light, we can start to build on that and go, actually, I think I do kind of like this part about me. But no, dude, I get what you're saying. That's why I said I make it sound like a walk in the park, but it's really like climbing Mount Everest. I mean, it is really, it's a long, slow walk in the right direction. It's not something that happens overnight. In the world that we live in, we love overnight. Get rich quick, lose weight fast, take a pill, feel better.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's long compounding returns that give us the return that we're looking for.
Do you have a therapist?
Yes.
Do you have a coach?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, if we had more time, I'd go into depth, but that there's value there in just me and the audience knowing. How many people in the world more or less know about March 31st, 2021?
Fixing to be thousands, I hope, but now,
all right,
25 or 30.
Okay. Did you ever receive a diagnosis that's in the DSMV that you agree with?
No.
It sounds like you have, correct me if I'm wrong, a not small number of people where you could have a good conversation when you were having a really shitty day.
Yep.
And even if you use the S word, it might be okay.
Yep.
More than 10?
Yes.
Good for you. What is one, and I am just saying one, I want the one that pops in your head, the brightest, the biggest, the loudest, myth or misconception, if it directly relates to suicide or anything else we've talked about, that you want to dispel and call bullshit on?
That it's selfish.
Done. You have a book. Does it have a title name yet?
Yeah. It's going to be called Sacred Grit.
Shocking. I like your branding. Now, you don't know this about me, but I love memoir titles. It is a memoir?
Yeah, it is. It is a memoir, yeah, but it's written specifically to men, so it's written in bite-sized pieces that tend to be much more geared toward the male brain. So, I'm still working on the subtitle, but
That's exactly what I was about to ask. What's the subtitle?
I'm still working on it.
That's another good example. It takes time, man. You gotta bang that out one day.
Yeah.
You talked a lot earlier, not a lot, but it came up about shame. And then we had this like 0 to 10 meter of suicidality, or I suppose. Has your shame lessened over the years?
Yeah. Yeah, it has. I mean, I used to be a pretty reserved guy. Now I dance in the aisle at Walmart when I'm at the grocery store. Like I've learned how to be alive, man, and not take myself too seriously. And I mean, I still feel ashamed sometimes over little things here and there, but nothing like I used to. I've learned how to be me, and that's been a very long, difficult road, but I have figured it out.
Mm-hmm. Dancing in the aisles of Walmart is not a bad memoir title either. Likelihood that you're going to die a quote unquote natural death.
I think pretty close to 100%.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I got a couple more here. You ready?
Yeah.
Question I ask all my guests. I started this question more than 2 years ago. It's called the pink and purple pill question. Mm-hmm. I'm going to ask you today, and I'm going to ask you on March 31st, 2021. I give you a pill, you take it, you go to sleep. There's no pain, you die, and nobody knows it's a suicide. What do you do with that pill right now?
I'll leave it alone.
You chuck it?
Yeah.
What do you do with it then?
Oh, I'd have took it in a heartbeat.
Isn't that the danger of that pill then?
It is.
Because you want to be, it sounds like you want to be alive, and that shit works.
Yeah.
Hardest question, but I know you're a coach and you seem like a pretty good guy. I am you, March 31st, 2021, in that bed. Mm-hmm. I haven't taken my 2-hour nap yet. I don't know what's going to happen when I wake up. We know what happened for you. Mm-hmm. You know the thoughts that are going through my mind. I'm at an 8.5. I've got the method all planned out, and I'm fucking done. Talk to me.
Whoo!
That's a tough one on the spot, isn't it?
Here's what I would say to me. I would say, brother, that is 100% a choice you could make. And that is a choice that would end your pain right now. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that it wouldn't. But I am going to tell you that I care about you. And I am going to tell you that there are the people that do care about you. And I am going to tell you that you could choose in the other direction. But at the end of the day, the choice is yours. I'm not going to try to talk you into one thing or another because that puts me as responsibility for your life. You need to take responsibility for your life. And if that means that you need to end it, I understand it. But if that means that you want to save it, then grab my hand and let's see if we can figure this out together. That's what I would say to me.
Is the name, you believe in God?
Yeah. Yeah. I believe not in that Christian God, but I do believe in the universal energy that holds all things together called love.
All right. I'm on board with that. The name of the podcast is Sacred Grit. The name of the book will be Sacred Grit. The name of the nonprofit is, say again, please.
Adventures in Recovery, and they can find that at recoveryadventures.org.
And one of the central tenets of what your work, that it sounds like it saved you, and is also you work with men on, mostly men, is nervous system regulation. We don't have time to get into what that means, but that's Googleable, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. I do cold water immersion, breath work, yoga, and meditation. Those are the 4 parts that I use for central nervous system regulation. And I do retreats, and I'm about to build a online course that people can take through school that'll allow them to see some of that information as well.
I might join it because it sounds like I might benefit from it. Is it going to be on School, you said? SKOOL? Yeah,
it will.
That's a popular platform, man.
Yep. About to pop it on there, hopefully in the next 3 months.
A lot of work. Not work. I'm glad what you're wanting to do, you're able to do.
Yeah, me too, brother. Me too.
Know?
Yeah.
That's important. It's hard to know that you can help people. And there's a lot of people out there like that who actually are, not the scumbag types, but the legit types. But, there's a whole other business game that's fucking hard.
Yeah, no doubt.
So their voice never gets heard, and that's tough. So I'm glad you're getting some momentum. Before we go, other than thanking you for joining me, anything else you want to share?
That's it, man. That is it. I appreciate you having me on, Sean. I to get this word out, I've been on every manner of podcast. Some that say I can't share my work, and some that say I can, and everything in between. And I tell every one of them the same thing: if I don't sell a single book, if I don't book a single coaching call, but there's one person that decides not to end their life because they heard my story and they decide to change directions, then I could care less about the money. It's all about the message, my dude. And I appreciate more than I can tell you giving my email a second chance to let me come on.
Oh, man, of course, yeah. Jason and Georgia, I appreciate it, man. I hope the rest of your day is decent, and I wish you well, man.
Take care, Sean. Let me know if I can help you in any way, my dude.
Will do. Take care. Bye.
See you.
As always, thanks so much for listening and all of your support. Special thanks to Jason in Georgia. Thanks, Jason. If you are a suicide attempt survivor or ideator and you'd like to talk, please reach out. I'd love to talk with you. hello@suicidenoted.com. If you listen on Spotify, check out our weekly poll. If you listen on Apple, we would love a 5-star rating. Only, of course, if you think we deserve it. And that is all for this week's episode. Stay strong. Do the best you can. I'll talk to you soon.